Hello and welcome to Manga Tour 96, and today we're going to talk about Kingdom. Kingdom is a highly praised and beloved manga who proves its quality in being one of the best-selling manga each year despite it having a shitty anime adaptation, proving that you don't have to have an anime with great animation and hype to earn big sales as long as the manga is really good, which in Kingdom's case, this statement is definitely true. Now, for the first half of this video, I will give my thoughts on the Kingdom manga, where I will cover the good things Kingdom has to offer as well as the bad things it has. I'll try to keep this segment spoiler free as not to spoil anyone on this great series. For the second part of this video, I will focus on the main character of this series, where I will go over his personality, some of the notable relationships that he has through the story as well as his role in the story. In this segment there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, skip the Shin segment. Now with that out of the way, let's start with all the good stuff that Kingdom has to offer. First, let's start with the characters. Kingdom has one of the biggest cast of characters in manga, so it's important that on the sheer number of characters you have enough good written characters who can carry this manga and not get drowned in the sheer number of the cast of characters. And Kingdom has an abundance of such characters who are good enough to be the main characters of their series, but in Kingdom they are just supporting characters. It also should be noted that Kingdom has some of the best written female characters in all of manga. So if you're interested in well written characters, Kingdom is definitely a manga for you. Another strong point that Kingdom has in his favor are the military tactics used in every battle. Even if you're not interested in military tactics, it's always a joy to watch as two brilliant tacticians try to outsmart one another, resulting in epic moments that a handful of manga can manage to give, as well as political intrigues and the fight for power in the nations, which is always nice to see. For those of you who seek action, Kingdom has an abundance of it, so anyone who is starving for mangas with lots of actions will get more than they bargained for in Kingdom. Kingdom has also a sense of progress as One Piece, in which we see how the main cast grew from the beginning of the series to where they are right now. Now let's move to the biggest strength and biggest weakness at the same time that this manga has, and that's the historical aspect of this manga. As Kingdom is loosely based on the Warring State period of China, as well as some of the characters are based on actual historical figures, gives this manga another dimension to it as it encourages you to read up on this history and learn something new, which is a big plus in my book. But the problem comes in the loose base segment, as Kingdom doesn't follow the actual history to a T. Events are changed depending on what the story needs. That includes the characters that are based off actual historical figures too, which is all fine and good, and I don't have any problems with that. But what I do have problems is when Hara takes his writer's liberties and adds nonsense like some kind of magic, and when the characters are depicted as One Piece characters who are able to decapitate 10 soldiers and 7 horses with one swing of a sword or a glaive. When that kind of nonsense is incorporated in a manga that is based off actual history, it just takes you out of the experience and makes you roll your eyes each time. This resulted in the travesty what was the last big fight that the MC was in. This fight and what happened immediately after its conclusion is the lowest point that this manga has ever reached. If you're wondering how low this point is, let's say that Fairy Tail at its lowest with its ridiculous Nakama power-ups, which made no sense, made more sense than this particular fight and what came of it. Some other issues that I have with this manga are the short downtime between big battles, which can get exhausting and repetitive after having to read 50 or so chapters of one big battle, then having a couple of chapters of downtime, then heading into another battle that will last 50 or so chapters, repeating this formula for almost 700 chapters can be jarring at times. All in all, Kingdom is a manga that I definitely recommend to everyone to read, as despite its flaws, it deserves all the praise that this manga gets, and it's definitely a better read than My Hero Academia, Kimetsu no Yaiba or Jujutsu Kaisen, for example. Now moving on to the heart and soul of this manga, and that's its main character, Rishin, who on his path to become the greatest general underneath the heavens managed to reach the position of General of Queen and the leader of the Hishin unit. He is extremely hot-headed and brash, but carries a heart of gold that holds an extreme amount of determination. Shin is fiercely loyal to his friends, as shown when he vows to avenge Hyo, even at the risk of his own death. His hot temper also makes him clash with Karyoten, and they tend to bicker like siblings constantly back when they were younger. He is also capable of great rage when provoked by others, making him a deadly opponent to fight against. His long days as a servant spent with Hyo made them close as brothers, and thus bring him up various times during his life. Rishin is also very headstrong and courageous, which is evident where he unhesitantly charges at his enemies, often ones that are much stronger than him. Shin also shows an exceptional level of charisma, who can not only encourage and lead his own unit with his words, but also has managed to impress even the greatest generals after his participation in the different campaigns and battles, including General Oki, Mougu, Ribuku, Rinko, Renpa, and Duke Hyo. As for his relationship with Eisei, the young king or queen and originally a target for Shin's revenge, Shin was convinced that aiding Eisei would be the only way he could achieve his and Hyo's dream. From there on, the two grew close. Shin respected the king's strength of character and willpower, and Sei relying upon Shin as his sword and shield. The two fostered a close friendship and shared the same dream of conquering China together. During the battles of Sai, Shin was the only person who Sei disclosed the information that the Yotanwa army was coming as a reinforcement. Upon arriving at Sai and meeting Eisei, Rishin admitted that he felt lame that he cried on Eisei's shoulder, wishing that he didn't witness him crying. Their relationship is so close that Eisei often relies on the Hishin unit to achieve certain objectives, such as saving Eisei's half-brother Seikyo or saving his children. Eisei often discloses secretive information to Shin first before anyone else. Shin has no problems addressing Eisei by his name rather than His Majesty, while Eisei himself has no problems with Shin saying his name. As for his relationship with Kyokai, having lost a big piece of herself with her sister's death, Shin became a light in the darkness for her, repairing the shattered fragments of her emotions and giving her a place to call home. She is extremely loyal and has strong feelings for Shin, willing to sacrifice her life to bring him back from the brink of death. She also wishes to help him achieve his dream of uniting China, while also wanting to have his child, to which he said he wouldn't mind. Shin respects her skill with a blade and often enjoys sparring with her to sharpen his own skill. As of chapter 670, Kyokai has confessed her feelings to Shin. However, it is unknown if he accepted those emotions. As for Shin's capabilities as a warrior and his role in the story, although possessing a little talent for strategy or tactics, Shin has continued to develop his instincts that have allowed a sense of insight into the flow of a battle to be observed as he grows. In lieu of tactics, Shin leads his unit from the front, leading direct charges, cutting down slots and deep into enemy ranks. Through this, Shin and his unit continue to grow into stronger and more capable fighters who specialize in being able to take on enemies many times their numbers. As a warrior, Shin boasts superior physical abilities and martial prowess than most, though perhaps his two most impressive assets are his relentless tenacity that marks both his style of fighting and is the most indicative trait that leads to his growth. When in rage, he is able to break through his physical limits and overwhelm his enemies with brute strength alone. His signature move is to leap into the air and slice down at his opponents, cutting through their heart. Shin is a born leader as he has the skill to inspire the people around him to a great extent. It has been stated by Rin Ko that Shin was a greater leader than he was at Shin's age. Shown, and at the time Shin had become the figurehead for the entire Central Army on the last day of the Sanyo invasion campaign. Another example is shown when he led 10,000 of Duke Hyo's troops, most of whom were in disarray and retreat. Later during the battle at Shukai Plains, with a passionate speech, he was able to awaken his entire unit of hunger and tired soldiers to the point where they were able to push back the Gyo army, a feat that was directly compared to the 6 great generals. Shin also has great instincts, which was showcased during the invasion of Queen by the coalition army at the battle at Kankuo Pass on the first day. Shin demonstrated an awakening of his ability as an instinctual type. As he was able to sense that the rear would be attacked, he moved accordingly. In the following days, he felt that there was something wrong with the enemy, as he thought that the Chu army was kind of quiet in their attacks. At the end of the Chiu-Chu campaign, after the enemy headquarters had been seized, Shin again managed to sense that there's another army moving in the nearby forest. He charged in alone, and with that surprise attack he killed Rei-O of the Wei 7 Fire Dragon in a single swoop, and after 3 years during the battle at Shukai Plains, his instincts have developed to the level where he could command his unit with pure intuition and match Gyu, another talented instinctual commander. One of Shin's most prominent traits is his monstrous strength. This is evident even at a young age, as shown when he overpowers 4 bandits simultaneously despite the huge difference in size. Fueled with the rage of Hyo's death, he was able to smash through stone walls with his fist. He applied tremendous force in his swordsmanship, being able to easily cut down a large number of armored soldiers without tiring. His immense strength was also shown during his duel with Rin Ko, the most dangerous and second strongest vassal of Ren Pa, which was enough to slay him. He has even managed to kill Hoken, a man who was only arrow wounded by Kyo, Oki and Duke Hyo, 3 of the most prominent fighters in the state of Queen. In addition to this fight was the most bullshit fight that I have ever seen in this great manga, and the lowest point that this manga has ever reached. Moving on, thanks to running through various battlefields and learning from his deadly duels, Shin has demonstrated his ability to adapt very quickly in order to get the upper hand in battle. This skill is first shown during his final duel with Roko of the 4 Heavenly Kings, after the former Zhao general crippled his leg, and Shin quickly changed the fight from a mounted one to even ground after realizing he would lose if he stayed on his horse. And after learning how to fight from Kyokai, he was able to lure the speedy and baiting Futai into his sword's range during the Zhao commander's attacks on the south wall during the Battle of Sai. And during his fight with Joe Rin, of the left captain of the Doyaku unit, Shin baited and sacrificed his right side to the spearman's attack in order to bisect the man's head. Shin is ultimately similar of an protagonist like Luffy, which is a good thing if you are similar to the best shonen protagonist of all time. Then you yourself are a great protagonist. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover on the Kingdom manga as well as its protagonist Shin. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more manga reviews and One Piece content. And until next time, take care.